Hello, my name is Wendy Love Edge, and I'd like to welcome you to the Bulldozer Health Show. In this episode, I'll be interviewing Michael Kenny, the only certified TaKeTiNa teacher in Texas. Michael is president of Drums Not Guns and holds many certifications, including a bachelor's degree and master's degree in music therapy. Welcome, Michael.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, Michael, tell us a little bit about your background. You hold many certifications, and I'd love to know a little more about it.
Sure. Well, I did my schoolwork in music therapy. I got my undergraduate degree and my master's in music therapy, which is actually what brought me to Texas in the first place. I came down to do a 6-month music therapy internship at Terrell State Hospital. It was supposed to be 6 months. That was 20 years ago. I'm still here. Mm-hmm. So something about Texas has kept me around. I got into music therapy because of personal experiences I had, basically just jamming with some friends, but having these experiences of pure transcendence and almost like an access to another way or system of knowledge, of just knowing, of being, of feeling, outside of thinking. And I had some very powerful experiences of, I guess I would call sort of unified consciousness, where all of the players together became one mind, and the music was something greater than all this. This had a really powerful impact on me. I started looking into this and discovered that there was a field called music therapy, and so that's how I got into that. And mostly my work since then has been, in one part, trying to recreate my bliss with other people, and at the same time provide a service to them.
Well, it is interesting in your work. I do think that music sort of reaches people on a different level for healing, and we've certainly done some episodes about that on the Bulldozer Health Show and in other things that we do with Bulldozer Health. So I'm really interested to hear more about what you're doing, especially this TaKeTiNa treatment. I have no idea what that is.
In the studies of music therapy, this is kind of the research and evidence-based application of music as a healing modality. So it's the art and the science of using music for healing. And we study such things as the influence of music on behavior, the role of music in society, psychoneuroacoustics, which is how sound from the exterior is translated into meaning in the brain. So very specialized aspects of the application of music. And in my studies, which now I've been practicing as a board-certified music therapist for over 20 years, I have not found anything as effective and as powerful as this process called TaKeTiNa. It brings into play simultaneously more areas of functioning of the brain and the body together than anything else that I'm aware of. And so it's very powerful in that way. It's very elegant in that nobody has to, let's say, for one to participate as a participant in TaKeTiNa, there's no musical knowledge or background that's required or expected. So
nice.
Every one of us has rhythm inside us, and we know this. We have our heartbeats, right, all day. We breathe. There's a rhythm to our breathing. There's a rhythm to our walking. There's the daily rhythms of the sunrise and sunset, and so on. So our life is full of rhythm. And, one thing that we find in, the United States in particular, but Western culture, a lot of people say, oh, I don't have rhythm. I can't keep a beat. And, it's really not true. It's a question of being separated from our own inner rhythm. Right, because we all have this rhythm going inside of us and surrounding us. Starting from, when we develop in our mother's womb, the most pervasive stimulus that we experience during our 9 months of gestation is the sound of the mother's heartbeat. Right, so we actually form in this world of rhythm. We understand rhythm in a very primal way, and there have been studies that show, for example, babies who have not yet begun to speak, they'll offer them pictures of, two of something and pictures of three of something. And if they play music with a duple meter, that's 2 beats, the babies tend to look more often at the picture with 2
Oh, wow.
figures on. And if they play music in triple meter, which is 3 beats, the babies will tend to look more towards the picture with 3 figures.
It's kind of an innate thing within a person. I mean, if you're talking about a baby that maybe still can't yet communicate, but they're able to do that.
Yeah, and I don't know if you have children. I have 3 children.
Yes,
and
I
the
do.
babies always sleep best, right, when their head is against, the mother's chest, right? And part of that is reconnecting with that heartbeat. And what they've also discovered is that rhythm tends to help organize thought and action. So, for example, there's some work that's been done with Parkinson's patients and people suffering from stroke that have difficulty walking, or they might walk in a very, what you call it, a very, very, very staggering, stuttering
Sure.
sort of locomotion.
Right.
And what they found is when they add even just something as simple as a metronome, that means people are able to walk smoothly.
That is really cool to me. And my background is actually in occupational therapy. And so I would be reteaching people, functional ambulation or daily activities. And that is really cool. When you add the music, you probably get a better result.
Yes, I mean, she would probably be familiar with, generally this technique is called rhythmic auditory stimulation. So simply by
Right.
providing this pulse information, the brain is able to organize better its execution of motor function.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
patients are brought in, and it's really quite striking. And there are videos, several videos on YouTube. But you'll see these people, and they walk, they stagger, and they kind of stop and pause and sort of wiggle back and forth, and then they just put on this pulse.
Right.
It could even be a metronome, as I said, and all of a sudden they walk like normal, and it's just like night and day instantaneously.
Wow, that's great. So where does the TaKeTiNa come in?
So, well, TaKeTiNa, I kind of discovered this. I was given a book by the creator of TaKeTiNa. His name is Reinhard Flatischler, and he wrote a book called The Forgotten Power of Rhythm, TaKeTiNa. And when I was working at Charles State Hospital, I had an intern who gave me this book, and it kind of blew my mind from the beginning.
Right.
So a couple of just experiences that he suggested in the book was, one, lying down and finding a pulse point on your body. And when you tune into that, then begin to speak the syllable go, 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 go with the pulse. And notice what happens. And what happens is the pulse tends to run away. It's like a rabbit, a scared rabbit. Every time you consciously really connect with your pulse, it starts to move. And then it takes some sort of, I guess you call it inner practice, right, to stabilize that. And then the next step was to, again, find that pulse point, and then in the space, the interval between the pulse, to utter the syllable go, go, go. I found it really fascinating how much simply connecting my awareness to my pulse and then inserting my energy, my intention by speaking the syllable affected these sort of autonomic bodily processes. One way we could approach it is like talk about the form, right? So if you think about Tai Chi, for example, right? You have these very slow, purposeful motions, and on the one hand, they're important, but especially advanced practitioners come to realize it's not about the movement at all. It's about the self and coming into presence with oneself, coming into stillness within, right? And really tuning into your own sensory motor system from the inside. And so TaKeTiNa is a bit like this. We can describe the outer form, but it's really about something else. So what it kind of looks like is we stand around the circle, and we'll begin to speak these rhythm syllables, and sometimes we call them rhythm mantras, but they're not words, they're just rhythm syllables. So, for example, if we're using groups of 4, we say TaKeTiNa, 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 and so on. And if we were to use groupings of 3, we would say gamala, 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 gam. Right? So by speaking syllables rather than counting numbers, we activate a totally different part of the brain. Right? It's less attached to the sort of analytic functions that numbers activate. This repeated mantra or rhythm, as it takes on, begins to organize brainwave firing. So the brain begins to fire in synchronized waves rather than sort of like intermittently and randomly, and also begins to alter the state of consciousness, right, taking us to a more relaxed state, a deeper state of awareness.
That can be so valuable for many people who suffer from anxiety, PTSD, or even just the stresses of daily life. So that sounds great. Well, Michael, we need to wrap it up here, but please tell me how people can get in touch with you.
Sure. Anybody's welcome to contact me on Facebook. It's Michael Kenny. I also have a Facebook page. It's called DFW TaKeTiNa. Or I have my email address is michael@drumheart.org. And I would really recommend that people go to YouTube and search TaKeTiNa or TaKeTiNa Rhythm. There's quite a bit, from 3-minute videos to 90-minute videos, giving more in-depth presentation on the research, because there's quite a bit of very important research that's been done on this, as well as people discussing their experiences. So it's a profoundly healing modality. It's also, at the same time, very intensely personal and deeply connecting with others.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, take care. Bulldozer Health Incorporated is a 501c3 nonprofit organization and healthcare reform initiative. You can find us at bulldozerhealth.org. Take back your health, America. That was so relaxing.